Hello, you all. Welcome back to my channel, and welcome if you're new. I hope that you all had a wonderful holiday season, had a wonderful Christmas. Also, Happy New Year to you all. So, I'm on here to share with you all two projects that I created. The first one being with the Stamperia Sir Vagabond avatar scrapbooking paper that I purchased from the Scrapbook Expo last year in April. So I decided to go ahead and pull that out and make a passport type journal out of that. This is Amelia Earhart is who this passport journal is going to be featuring from this paper kit. And so I only have just I have a couple of pages, but they're kind of big pages, if you can see. Like this is a big page of her. And then Sir Vagabond, here's another page of her. And then I just got pieces of that scrap papers that I use to create the journal with as well. I also used some just regular cardstock out of my stash I got from Michael's to go along with this color theme, which is in the blue color. So yeah, so there's some cutter parts. There was a lot of fussy cutting out this journal. So, and then we got some pages from here. So yeah, so this is what I used to create my first passport journal of Amelia Earhart. So I'm going to go ahead and share with you all. So here it is, and it's, like I said, it's all using papers out of this collection except for the black craft cardstock that's from Tim Holtz, and then the blue color cardstock from Michael's. Okay, so let's go ahead and share with you all. So here is the first page, and so this journal is it's 6 inches by 4. So it's 6 inches long by 4 inches wide. And I got this from I watched somebody's video, and I can't remember who it was. If I can remember, I'll leave a link to her channel in the description box down below, because I watch a lot of videos, you guys, and I don't try to discredit anybody, because this is where I got my inspiration from. So I'm pretty sure if I find her channel, I will leave it in the link down below. So 6 by 4 inches, 6 by 4. And so what you do is you cut 6 inches by 4, and then I just kind of went my own size for this cover. So you do 2 of these. So you're going to do the 6 by 4 and then whatever size you want your flap to be, and then you do the same thing on the inside, which I glued mine together. So, and then, so you can't see the other part of it. But let me just go ahead and do a flip through and share with you all what I did. So here's a blue cardstock that I used, and this is the first flap that I used. And the back part, I made it into a pocket. Okay, so this, like I said, all this is cutter parts from the lot of fussy cutting from the paper pack. So this is like a cutout. Then I glued the Statue of Liberty on top of that. This is a cutout as well. The strips here is cutouts from the paper pad that I use as washi on the bond of the book. And then you open it up, and here's the first page. So some more cutouts, like the little glasses, and then the little ephemera piece. And then the back of this right here, I just cut out a circle with my circle die and black craft cardstock, and then glue one of the ephemera pieces on the paper pad on top of that, the best. And then this is another cutout vintage strip. So that's the flap. And then right here is the first page. And so here's the first page of the world's greatest avatar, which is Amelia Earhart. I put the New York here that I cut out, and everything is distressed with walnut stain, distress oxide ink. And my friend made this for me, I think from her Glowforge, this little ink holder. And so I love it. So yeah, I use it all the time faithfully. And then I cut her out as well. So on the back of this card is a picture of her, like the same picture, but I wanted to do something different. So I just used the back part of it and then just cut her out and glued her there, and then the New York at the top. And then when you turn it over, here's the pocket. And so here is like a little journaling card from the paper pack. So it's like a steampunk passport, if you want to say. And so I just made my own little tabs and glued it on top of the black craft cardstock from Tim Holtz. So I kind of just keep it out a little bit so you can see so when you close the book, you can see the tab. So that's what I did. And then right here, I made a little pocket with another cutout. And we got a little tag here of her on the back of this paper. And then this is also cutouts along with the Discover. And then also these little screw, like mechanic heads, what do you call them? Mechanic screws, whatever. I also fussy cut those out as well. Very tiny. So it says price 25 cents. Original Red Book, Street Guide, New York. Color map. So that's that page. And then when you turn it over, you have another pocket. Well, here's a tab right here. So we got another tab. And then I just cut that out, just like one of the pieces like of the page that has a lot of different stuff on it. So I just cut this little image out of that and glued it onto the craft cardstock in black. And then we have this page was the pocket. So I fussy cut all this out and just laid it how I want it to be laid. And then we got some little tags here. We got this tag. This was a lot of fun to make. And then I just cut out some black craft cardstock again. And then I cut this out around the corners and put this image here. And then we have the back, which is another tag that I created. And I got that tucked there inside that pocket. And then we have the back part that I fussy cut out. So yeah, so like I said, all this, it was a lot of cutting, you guys, but it was well worth it because I love the outcome of this little passport steampunk journal of Amelia Earhart. So yeah, so I hope that you all enjoyed this share of this journal that I created. I hope I explained it well. And what you do is you glue 2 pages together to make the book here. So you don't have to use like any glue like in the seam or any like sew it or staple it, because the book is glued together from the back and then also from the middle. Because like these 2 pages are glued together to make that pocket, if that makes sense. So yeah. So you actually have 1, 2, 3, and then 4 and 5, 6. Yeah. But you glue so many pages to form your book. Okay, so that is that passport journal, Steampunk. And then I wanted to do something more vintage looking. And I've seen a lot of people do this on YouTube as well. And so I made this journal, this little passport journal. And so I'm going to share with y'all what I used to make that journal. So for this journal, I used some distress paint and broken china. I also used some clear transparent embossing powder. I used some crackle paste and translucent. Also some distress oxide spray and vintage photo. And then I used some black soot distress ink, vintage photo distress ink, along with walnut stain distress ink. And then I also used some of the one of the photomatic pictures from Tim Holtz. And then I used this embossing, the 3D Texture Phase Large A5 embossing folder. I used this one, which is called Cracked. And then I used the date from the Creative Expressions Clear Stamp set from created by Sam Poole. I used some stamps from Eccentric CMS 448. I also used stamp School Desk CMS 057, and I just used a portion of this stamp right here. And then I used French Marketplace CMS 071, and I just used this small little signature right here. So I use that, and then I also use that. And then I use this one is Travel Label CMS 108, and I use this one right here, which you can barely see, but it's there. So here's the journal. So what I did was I cut out, I had some file folders in my stash from Dollar Tree. So I cut it out, and this is 5 inches by, by like 3.5. So 5 by 3.5. So 5 by 3.5. Then I round the corners. And so I used a file folder from Dollar Tree. I sprayed it with the Distress Oxide Spray in Vintage Photo. And then I dried that. And then once I did that, I went on top with my finger and I seen her name is coming to me of who I follow to make this journal. Um, Crafty Crafty by Tony, I want to say. She's out of the UK. Crafty by Tony, if I'm not mistaken. But like I said, I'll have the link to her channel down below. She is so fabulous. So, so fabulous. Has so many different ideas, and I just love her YouTube channel. But yeah, so I used the translucent crackle paste. So once that dried on top of the sprayed background of the vintage photo, then I went on top with the distress paint and broken china. And I just put it on my glass mat, and I just took my finger, just went around, just went on top of it on both sides. And then once I did that, then I splattered it with some distress ink. And then I also used that stamp right here, and that's where I heat embossed it so you can see it, but you can't see it. I want to kind of blend in like she said. And then I did also take the cap of my black soot distress oxide spray, and I just went around, you know, with the circles so you can see it but barely see it. So I was trying to make it as age looking as possible, but you can see the embossing folder that I used here. I love the way this turned out with that blue paint on top of that. So it makes it look real warm. Then I went around the edges with the black soot and also vintage walnut stain. So here, and then I did use coffee stained copy paper that I already had in my stash that was already stained for me. So I used that for the inside, and that's how it turned out. Then I did some little splatting with the black soot distress ink on all the pages, and then went around it with the vintage walnut stain just to try to give it some aging. And then here is the first page. Here's the person that this passport belongs to. So here he is. This is his journal, passport. And I used some of the vintage tape from Tim Holtz. Here's some stamping. And then here's that school desk stamp I just used a portion of just to kind of fill in the space. And then I also used my candied apple stamp from that stamp set I showed you, just to kind of, like I said, fill in the space, make it look like a passport. And I just stamped some numbers. Here's that little signature right here that I used from that stamp. And let me show it to you again. So from this French market, so that little signature right there, that's what I did. Because I didn't have any signature stamps, so I just used that signature stamp there, or that stamp there to make the signature right here. And then some more stamping. And then he's, you know, going to Paris. He's always flying in and out of Paris, so that's what this passport is all about. And then here's like a date here from that Creative Expression stamp. That's where I got it from. And then on the next pages, it's just more like, you know, his transport, he was reserved, destinations, identification card stuff, showing that, you know, he's been with the numbers that, you know, whatever those numbers mean. So, and then some more of the vintage tape here. And I just kind of did that on all the pages. Did some more splattering with the black soot ink. Some more stamping in red. So they're just pretty much the same. You know, this is his traveling with this passport. And then that's the back. So I didn't do anything to the back of the last page of the back cover. But yeah, this is my little passport journal. Like I said, I've seen many people make these journals, and I wanted to give my hand at it, and I try to make it as vintage as possible. And then we have our steampunk with Eileen Earhart. So yes, you guys, so I hope that you all enjoyed my share of my projects that I created. I had a lot of fun creating these, and I will be making more. I do want to thank you all so much for watching. You all have yourself a great week ahead. Have a great rest of your weekend. Be blessed, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye-bye.